Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second: surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then?
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look back at the Labor Day boat fire in California, where over 30 people lost their lives. Now, I've been told by sources that this is an important event, and it's not just important because President Trump highlighted it on his Twitter. We're starting to find out who some of the victims are, and you're going to want to stick around to find out that, plus a whole bunch of other breaking news. So you guys are going to want to stick around and watch this episode. Hey guys, if you're going to be in Miami this October 10th through 12th and you want to check out an incredible event with people like Donald Trump Jr., Sarah Sanders, Charlie Kirk, Jason Chaffetz, Matt Gaetz, and many others, I encourage you to check out the link in the description for the American Priority Conference in Miami. Now, this is going to be an incredible event. We're going to have a charity golf tournament. We're going to have a charity poker tournament. We're going to have a bunch of different guest speakers, including some really important people. So I really think you guys should go check out the link in the description and sign up and come meet me down in Florida this October 10th through 12th in Miami at Trump National at Doral on the Blue Monster, for those of you who know golf. And we're going to have a great time. Again, special speakers include Donald Trump Jr. and Sarah Sanders and many others. So I encourage you all to check that out, and I hope to see you there. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always start, as you know, by saying thank you to everyone who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. Here we are. We are at the Q board. Q post 3570 is where we left off. The last date we got a Q post was August 1st. Now, why haven't we got any Q posts? Well, simple. The 8chan website where Q Post has been voluntarily taken offline by its owner, who testified in front of Congress today in a closed door session where it's being reported that there was a lot of questions being asked. And we're going to take a look at that briefly and the fake news surrounding it, but also the lack of coverage. We're going to take a look at all that, plus a whole bunch of different news stories. But we've heard today from CodeMonkey, one of the main board operators, that the 8chan site should be back up within a week. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be up and fully functioning. They have to take care of all types of things with DDoS, but we're going to take a look at that and a whole bunch of other stories here on this episode, including, like I said before, that suspicious boat fire that killed over 30 people, are presumed dead, I should say. And we're going to take a look at that and who was on that boat, plus a bunch of other news stories. So you guys are going to stick around. Now, I always encourage everyone to come back here, watch these videos, share them on your social media. Why? I have to go over this every time because there's active suppression of content happening on YouTube. They're admitting it. They're writing, Susan Wojcicki, the CEO, is writing blogs about how they're going to try to curtail and limit the amount of views that certain controversial content gets. So they are acting as not only publishers, but thought police in trying to control what you are able to see and hear. So that's why you have to share these videos. You got to go back, watch them, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. And if you're scratching it, go, what is QAnon the Great Awakening? Watch this video right here, share it on your social media. But they're actively trying to suppress this content and many others who are doing the same kind of reporting. So please share this content. And that's how we continue to defeat them, is by sharing the content right around them. Starting here with a fake news article from the NBC Fake News. And what they do is they take these quotes in this interview that they revisited with the previous founder of 8chan, this Frederick Brennan. Not sure if he's related to John Brennan. It wouldn't be surprising to me given the comments that he's making now. But with that being said, This guy who, has got a whole set of problems that I'm not even going to get into, obviously, as you can see, is saying that they should shut down 8chan. The world would be a better place without it. And that the owner now, Jim Watkins, is going to lie in front of Congress, he said this yesterday about the testimony that Watkins was going to give today or yesterday, depending on where you guys are. Dates. This was published on the 4th. Watkins testified on the 5th. Today is the 6th. There you go. So he comes out and he says all this stuff. He's now the arbiter of morality and what the world needs. This one singular person in a wheelchair we should all listen to and basically do whatever he wants. If he says that we should get rid of 8chan, well, by golly, I mean, look at him. We should do what he says. He obviously is a source of authority on this because he helped found the website. So, and I'm obviously being facetious. He obviously is, to me, it's sad. It's really sad. This guy is getting all this attention. I'm sure he hasn't gotten any attention like this ever, besides when he first probably started the website and all that. And now he's going on a media tour to say that he is going to take down 8chan on his own. I mean, you really have to feel sorry for this person. And just the way the fake news liars are using him. I mean, you can imagine these fake news snakes are going to him and saying, "Oh, you're doing such a brave thing, coming out against 8chan. It must be really hard. We're gonna cover this story and we're gonna help you shut down 8chan." Great, perfect. Another attack on the First Amendment, free speech in our country, and this little guy is going to be one of their spokespeople, I guess, for this. He even says here in the article, he's quoted as saying, "If they want to bring 8chan back online, just be aware, I will do everything I can to keep it down because the world is better off without it." Okay, thanks, guy. I mean, you obviously are the arbiter of what's good and true. Out of the billions of people in the globe, little Frederick Brennan is the one who is going to shut down 8chan. He's going to take away your freedom of speech because he thinks the world is a better place without it. I get sick of these morons, and it's tiresome. Here's another quote where they talk about what's going to happen with 8chan. Apparently, something that came out of this testimony today on Capitol Hill was that they're going to have a big change to the 8chan website. According to this, it says, if 8chan returns, staff would implement a way to restrict certain parts of the website during a, quote, state of emergency, in which case any board in question would be put in a read-only mode until it would be deemed safe enough to enable posting again. Well, this is interesting. I mean, so what they're saying now is that if anything happens, if somebody posts anything on there that's a part of something that's happening in the news, they're just going to shut the board down altogether. They're going to make it impossible for anyone to post. And that's great if you want to live in a totalitarian fascist, dictatorship. But if you're in, the real world and you want to embrace freedom of speech and have equality and not have a double standard like they do now, why doesn't this happen to Facebook? Why doesn't this happen to Twitter? Or Instagram? When these psychos post their manifestos there, you don't see anyone calling for a safe mode where you can shut down people's ability to post on Facebook. Yet for this particular website, they think this is an appropriate step. I think it's a joke. I think it's another infringement on our right to free speech. And I think that the fact that these people are capitulating like this is pathetic, but that's their choice to make. I'm not privy to their decision making, and I can only tell you what I can see topically from this perspective. And finally, 8chan owner provides private testimony before Congress in defending the First Amendment. They retained a lawyer, Benjamin Barr. So this is the big story. The worst part is, though, one of the contentions made by Jim Watkins, which I think is very fair, is that the shooter in El Paso, which is where this all started, didn't post his manifesto to 8chan. He posted it on Instagram. Then an anon, somebody else, took that post and put it on 8chan. So, again, why are we not having this hearing about Instagram? Why are we not calling in Instagram and Facebook and Twitter to come testify in front of Congress about their violent extremism problem. And not only that, it's all just a big facade, I think, in order to try to shut down QAnon, to shut down this movement, because that's the only reason why they would attack 8chan. Really, besides QAnon, there's not much going on 8chan. Trust me, and you don't even want to know some of the other stuff that's going on 8chan. It's quite disturbing, right? But again, free speech. Free speech. I don't have to agree with it, but I'll fight for everyone's right to say what they want. I'll always stand by that. So I just figured I'd cover these stories real quick. And of course, I want to talk about this because this is the effect that all of the fake news, the lies, the constant bombardment of propaganda and disinformation coming from the extreme leftist media complex in Silicon Valley. This is the ultimate encapsulation of what they are trying to create in this country, the division they're trying to create. It says, now I don't know if this is real or not, but this seems to be real out of a newspaper clipping. I can't help but laugh when I read this. It says, this past Tuesday at a Trader Joe's in Tucson, a male shopper came in wearing a Trump 2020 t-shirt. Oh no! My husband and I immediately felt threatened and observed the entire mood of the store shift as well. We quickly and cautiously finished our shopping and moved to the checkout stands. Before we left, my husband asked our checker, a Caucasian woman, she was white, to convey to management the anxiety we had just experienced at suddenly finding ourselves in a confined space with a man who looked the part of a typical Trump terrorist. We were not prepared for our checker's response. Thanking us both profusely, she grabbed my husband's hand like a lifeline, 2 fingers flying to check her own neck pulse. The Trump shopper had just been through her line, and her heart was still racing with fear. She actually needed us to help her calm down. I wanted to run after this man and ask if he knew what he had done to this helpless woman, what he had done to us, but of course he knew. That was the point, and he's got plenty of dark-minded company, and that's the most terrifyingly awful thing of all. Oh my gosh. This perfectly encapsulates what they're trying to do to this country. They're sowing the seeds of division by making it so that these psychopaths are triggered to the point of trembling and their hearts racing because they saw a t-shirt that said Trump 2020. But it's all because of the lies. It's all because of the propaganda. It's all because of the fake news and Silicon Valley and Hollywood coming together to, in my opinion, undermine the entire country at large in order to sink us into some kind of, in my opinion, civil war. That's the end goal here. Because these people, I will say this again, I've said it 1,000 times. The people who are creating this kind of environment in our country, it's not the Trump supporters, it's not the conservatives, it's not the Christians, it's the extreme leftist psychopaths who would rather destroy this country than be brought to account for their crimes against it. Remember that. They would rather destroy this country than be held accountable for the crimes they've committed against it. And the complicity that they have shown in looking the other way for decades as these psychotic, satanic, evil globalists and their cabal have infiltrated our entire, our government, our media, our big tech corporations, and they've turned a blind eye to the whole thing, and now they're trying to just silence us and create this kind of division. I mean, I really think that everyone involved in this story, besides the guy wearing the Trump t-shirt, has a very, very severe mental problems. That's my opinion, okay? Now, another story that I thought was interesting. Somebody over on Twitter, very, very good with the programming, picked this up. Luke Sly Talker in the Force here was doing some searches on the New York Post photos that were put out. So we all know there was a suspicious set of New York Post photos that came out with this. I've been saying her name, Ghislaine Maxwell. Other people are calling her Ghislaine Maxwell. You know what? This is America. I say Ghislaine. Deal with it. Ghislaine Maxwell, who was at an In-N-Out burger. Now, what's very fascinating to note about that, that In-N-Out burger photo that they gave to the New York Post had a tremendous amount of Photoshop in it, in multiple photos where they airbrushed different things out. They had Photoshopped certain movie posters in to make it seem like it had been taken very recently. Not to mention the fact that if you do a little bit of digging on the location of that In-N-Out burger, it's about a 5-minute ride down the street from a little office inside of a strip mall on the second floor that is called TikTok LLC. Now, where have we heard that before? Well, that's from Q. That's from one of the previous posts. And what is TikTok LLC? Well, speculation at this point about what it actually is it was a type of dead man switch office that was being run and where they were storing all of the blackmail information so that if anything happened to Ghislaine, all of it comes out. Because after they took care of Epstein, really the only one left now is Ghislaine Maxwell. Jean-Luc Brunel, one of the other guys named, has completely disappeared off the map. And now I had speculated that the whole thing with those pictures that were put out by the New York Post was a way to create a diversion to allow Ghislaine Maxwell to flee the country, or some sort of coded message. Now, when I'm thinking, is this a coded message? Now I'm like, oh, this was a coded message. So I'm going to give you the long and short of this. Steganography is what Q has alluded to in the past, where you hide text inside of pictures. Now, what's important to note about this, these text messages that were hidden in the pictures that were posted by the New York Post are very suspicious. And I'll leave a link to this, but you can go ahead and read through all of the suspicious lines of code that are found inside of the pictures themselves. So think about this. Is it possible that these pictures that were released by the New York Post contained encrypted messages, right, that were sent to arrange the exchange or the allowance of Ghislaine Maxwell to leave the country? Some sort of spy code where is it some sort of negotiating tactic? Did they threaten to drop everything? I mean, you can imagine that there's 1,000 different scenarios, but I read through this, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of this stuff goes right over my head. I'm not, technically into stenography as much as this guy and a lot of others are, but I can tell you right now that this thread puts together a lot of different things, including the fact that they compare some of the coded messages found in the New York Post photos to photos that were posted as a part of the Cicada 3301 puzzle. If you guys don't know about that, Cicada 3301, it's a very complex digital cyber puzzle that's put out by the intelligence agencies to recruit people who can break codes. So that's the long story short here. You guys can read through this and see if you can find anything else. I would definitely point you to that. But don't forget, the lawyer for Epstein's madam has already come out and said that hundreds of names are contained in the upcoming records dump. So that's just the names. What about all that information that they talked about as far as blackmail? The fact there were cameras everywhere, that Epstein was allegedly videotaping and audio recording everyone, and they were holding these large troves of blackmail information on everyone you could imagine. So ask yourself this, is it all connected? Also, we have China using fentanyl in what you would call chemical warfare. This is an article that is stating something that I've been saying here on the channel for a long time. It's the exact same thing that they realized that there were the opium wars. They saw what happened to their country. They saw how the British came in and flooded their country with opium and made them basically too high and addicted to be able to fight back. Is it the same kind of warfare they're using against us with pumping and sending thousands and thousands and thousands of tons of fentanyl into our country every year? Yes, in my opinion, it is. It's a form of chemical warfare. And everything we've talked about Hurricane Dorian, the targeted way it hit the islands, what islands were actually targeted. It all ties back to China. Not to mention the fact here, we have Devin Nunes filing a racketeering lawsuit against Fusion GPS. So we have two factions that we're fighting it with. We have our corrupt politicians in our country that were using companies like Fusion GPS to, as alleged by Devin Nunes' suit here, to racketeer against the investigations that were put forth in order to figure out how they tried to set up this Russia collusion hoax, the coup, planting the Steele dossier, everything, right? And that connects to China because we're fighting on all sides. President Trump is under attack from everywhere. So are we as conservatives. And with that being said, you got to remember that we're fighting back, and Devin Nunes is doing a great job there. A few more things before we go. Well, let's start here. The cryptically weird tweet from the CIA, which came out yesterday, has one of the books here listed as The Hunt for Red October. And it's got all these different books here. Interesting, we do remember all of the times that Q referred to the Hunt for Red October. And one of the Anons pulled this up from January of 2013 about the Red October campaign, which was an advanced cyber espionage network targeting diplomatic and government agencies. Now, this story was published back in 2013, and you notice how it disappeared very quickly. We never really heard much about it. But it was this Kaspersky lab had researchers had decided to figure out what this system of espionage was. It was a sort of Trojan horse virus that was put inside of many different official government agencies' networks, which was taking information and funneling it into this espionage network. Now, given that Q's told us so many times over and over again about the Hunt for Red October, I thought this was very suspicious and worth investigating further. I'll leave a link if you want to read more about it. But again, this gets into a lot of the more technical side of how this all worked. And if you guys are out there, some of the Anons or whoever who have a better grip on that, please start doing some digging here, because I think there's a lot more to this. Not to mention the fact that we remember what was Iron Eagle. Iron Eagle and Red October were always said at the same time. Iron Eagle is an anagram of this eager lion, which was a joint exercise between the U.S. and Jordanians, which, interestingly enough, here's what Eagle Line does. And this was called, as it says here, the Keystone Event. You think this has to do with training special operators to conduct clandestine operations? It says, Eagle Line helps to clarify how to plan and execute joint operations in unconventional environments and coordinate between military troops, agencies, ministries, and governmental and non-governmental agencies. So remember, everything we're seeing with this hurricane and everything from top to bottom is a part of a very, very well-coordinated, well-planned, a well-thought-out plan, I should say. And Q's been hinting at this, and now we're finally in the end stage of it happening. If you guys don't remember, one of the first times we got both of those together, I think, was right here, where it said, you have so much more than you know, so much, future-proofs past, news unlocks map, plus, Red October, Iron Eagle, Q. So I think this is the first time Q told us that the brackets were the kill box. Now, why is this important? It's simple. It's important because this information was given to us almost 2 years ago. And when you take that into account and think to yourself, okay, what were we being told? We were being told that these operations were planned and going to happen. So we've done a lot here, I think, in covering a lot of these things. Now, finally, remember here, this is President Trump's Twitter feed here, where back on Labor Day, we had this tragedy, 30 people presumed dead in a boat fire. And I have some sources that had reached out to me and said, you need to take a closer look at this. So I've been waiting for more information to come out. And today, there's an interesting report that's come out. The San Francisco Gate is reporting that Apple has confirmed 2 of its veteran employees are among the dead in the dive boat fire. Now, apparently this is Steve Salika, who was a senior manager at Apple with 30 years of experience with the company was on that boat with his wife and his daughter, who was celebrating her 17th birthday. Now, I'm not going to get into any kind of speculation other than to say, look, we all know there are many whistleblowers who continue to come out against these big tech companies, and we know that there are some very powerful people out there who would want to silence those who are going to expose certain things about the truth behind their cooperation with the Chinese communists, their cooperation with the partisan extreme leftists, their cooperation with domestic terror organizations like Antifa, and their complete and utter total discrimination against conservatives and Christians. And these are things that are continually exposed. And, you know, all I can say is it would take really sick, evil, demonic, satanic people to not only go after individuals, but then to do it in a way where you see multiple casualties as just collateral damage. And that's where I'm going to leave it, because I'm not going to make any speculation. I'm just going to say, look, it's interesting that President Trump tweeted about this. It's interesting that I have people who I trust telling me this is an important story. And now it's coming out that two of these veteran employees from Apple, 30 years on the job, mysteriously died in this tragic accident. So, look, that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to go ahead and leave that for you guys. That's basically all we have to cover here tonight. A few more things before we go. Obviously, come here, share these videos on your social media, get the word out that way. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think about everything that we talked about today. Another great way you can support the channel is to come and be Brave. Download the Brave browser. What is it? If you use Google Chrome or Windows Internet Explorer, it is an internet browser, but it's a better internet browser. Let me tell you why. First of all, have you ever been on a website and you can't even read the article because of all the pop-ups and ads? Well, Brave browser takes care of that for you. Brave actually blocks all of the advertisements and makes your internet experience that much better. Plus, when you use the link in the description to download it, you'll be supporting Just Informed Talk. And every time you use the Brave browser to visit Just Informed Talk, you'll be making a contribution to the channel. So it's free for you. It's a win-win, and I would encourage everyone to download it. All you do, go to the link in the description, download the Brave browser, install it, and then run it just like you would any other internet browser. It's a great tool, and I encourage everyone to go check it out. Also, come find me over here on Twitter at JustInformedYou, the official Twitter page for Just Informed Talk, where we can have all these conversations outside the channel. It's a great way to connect, and I would encourage you to go check that out. Also, JustInformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. All you gotta do is come here, click this, all of these different links. You have links to the Q stuff, links to news outlets, breaking news, and of course, the latest videos from the channel here. So that's JustInformedNews.com. A couple other ways you can help out are both financial. Patreon, Patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. It's a monthly donation. You set it, forget it. You come here, use the link in the description, click this button and become a patron. And that's how you help create content on this channel, because YouTube has decided to take away all monetization, all advertising from this channel. So there are no ads. I'm sure if you guys are seeing ads, please let me know, because as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, YouTube has taken all advertisements away from this channel. So your support keeps this channel alive. I also have a GoFundMe set up if you'll make a one-time or anonymous donation. But with that being said, at the end of every one of these episodes, we do a segment called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For tonight, I'm going to kind of go with this psalm. It's Psalm 4, and it's a prayer. And I want to share this prayer with you, because as we come up against such great evil in this world, we have to remind ourselves that God is there with us. And I'm going to read this verse to you. It's Psalm 4. We're going to read the whole thing. It says, "Answer me when I call, God, who vindicates me. You freed me from affliction. Be gracious to me and hear my prayer. How long, exalted men, will my honor be insulted? How long will you love what is worthless and pursue a lie? Know that the Lord has set apart the faithful for himself. The Lord will hear when I call to him. Be angry and do not sin. On your bed, reflect in your heart and be still. Offer sacrifices in righteousness and trust in the Lord. Many are saying, who can show us anything good? Look on us with favor, Lord. You have put more joy in my heart than they have when their grain and new wine abound. I will both lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, Lord, make me live in safety. Now, the important message I want to share out of that, I mean, other than, amen, it's a great prayer, is when we're going up against such evil. I love this line here. It says, how long, exalted men, will my honor be insulted? How long will you love what is worthless and pursue a lie? And that's where we're at. The exalted men, supposedly the reporters on the big media channels and the big tech CEOs in Silicon Valley and the politicians and the corporate leaders, these are the exalted men. And it's saying, how long will they insult our honor by acting in such a demonic and evil way, in my opinion? And how long will they love what is worthless and pursue the lie that they've created? And try to remove God from the conversation. How long will they do that? Well, it doesn't matter. Because the Lord has set apart the faithful for himself. So with our faith, we are set apart from these exalted men, and we are exalted even higher into the kingdom of God. And with God, through Christ, all things are possible. And that's the message I want to share with you. That's what I want you to take and put out into the world. Give it to your family and friends and loved ones and people you meet on the street. Tell them the glory of God and how no matter what kind of evil we face in this world, we are the ones who are chosen. We are the ones the Lord has set apart for himself. And that's my message to you. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. A few more things. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, twist it, turn it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.